Hello there, very good evening. Welcome to another edition of Prime Time News on TV1. We've got the latest of news from here at home and across the globe lined up for you here tonight. Before we take a look at those stories and details, let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Guests attending wedding ceremonies restricted to 50 with effect from midnight. Tighten travel restrictions without delay. Medical experts demand the government. Gas and milk powder shortage in the country. General public lament over rising sugar and rice prices. Tax on milk powder removed. Discussions underway to solve the gas crisis as well. Cabinet committee appointed to issue recommendations to solve the salary anomaly issue of teachers and principals. Trade unions continue their struggle, citing opposition for delayed solutions. The country is in dire straits. A statement from Venerable Muruthettu Ethera.
මොනවා කිව්වත් අද මේ පාලකමයා පිළිගන්නේ තත්ත්වෙට පත් වෙලා තිබෙන්නේ. අද අපේ රට අවුල් වියවුල් වෙලා ඉවරයි. හරි තැන හරි වැඩ කරන්න අද මිනිස්සු නැහැ.
Cabinet approval granted to Lanka Limited to continue the maritime operations with Avant-Garde Maritime Services Private Limited.
The number of guests permitted at weddings has been reduced to 50 with effect from midnight today. Army Commander General Shavendra Silva said that this decision was reached after taking into consideration the current spread of the COVID-19 virus in the country.
What is the opinion of specialist doctors on the spread of COVID-19? The Association of Medical Specialists urged the government to revisit its COVID-19 restriction protocols in the wake of surging numbers of critical patients and deaths. Issuing a press release, the Association of Medical Specialists warned that the situation cannot be taken lightly. Healthcare facilities has almost reached maximum capacity, while state morgues have also exceeded their maximum capacity. The release by the association warns of the impending danger with the limitation in the country's healthcare capacity to treat non-COVID-19 patients due to massive crowds in hospitals with surging COVID-19 cases and the limitation of hospital staff. The Association of Medical Specialists are of the opinion that much tougher movement restrictions should be imposed sooner than later, as there is no time left for complacency. The association added, without such measures, the healthcare system will have little breathing space to optimize the care extended to critical COVID-19 patients as well as non-COVID-19 patients. The association added, and I quote, even though we have the best vaccination drive in the world at present, we don't expect the current vaccination drive to have an impact on the present wave of the epidemic, which is playing havoc in our country, end quote.
The health sector is reaching its maximum capacity. If we don't take the necessary steps now, the entire system may break down. We have already informed the government that a basic measure we have at our disposal is to impose travel restrictions. The Delta variant is the dominant variant in the Colombo district. The Delta variant has not spread to other towns as much. But since the spread of this virus is faster, we are certain that this variant will spread to other towns quite fast. The Health Ministry said that this is still the third wave. We wanted to say that the drop in the cases of the third wave is over. Now there is a rise in cases once again, and we wanted to communicate to the public that message. So I believe that there is no issue in labeling this as the fourth wave. The previous wave was the Alpha wave. This time it is the spread of the more virulent Delta variant of COVID-19.
What is the government's response to the requests of specialist doctors?
The
curfew will be only imposed if it is an absolute necessity. We cannot rule that option out with the trends that are seen across the world. We consider that to be our final option because of the statements made by the highest medical giants in the world. All of them are of the opinion that the best and the closest to a complete solution to this issue is vaccination. We saw the statements made in Parliament by the opposition claiming that we will not be able to bring the vaccines, but 32 million vaccines will be brought by September. Everyone above the age of 18 will be able to get both doses of the vaccine. Remember that we first ordered 12 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine from the Serum Institute, and we were very happy about that. But with the situation in the world and in India, they were not in a position to even give away 50,000 doses. Our goal is to provide these facilities and leave the rest with God. Curfew is not being imposed by the government, but depending on the actions of the general public, the government will have to respond.
Vaccination drive in full force across the country.
The vaccination drive implemented across the country was successfully carried out today as well. The first and the second dose of the Chinese Sinopharm vaccine and the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine were administered to people above the age of 30 at the Vihara Mahadevi Open Air Theatre today as well. The vaccination centre at the Vihara Mahadevi Open Air Theatre in Colombo is operating 24 hours a day. According to Sri Lanka Army media spokesperson Brigadier Nilantha Premratna, both doses of the Sinopharm vaccine and the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine will be administered to the general public at Diyatha Uyana in Battaramulla today and tomorrow. The second dose of the Chinese Sinopharm vaccine will be administered to the general public at the Sugatasa Indoor Stadium. Meanwhile, health services have taken steps to set up 300 vaccination centres at many hospitals across the island, making the jab available to the general public. A program has started in search of people who are above the age of 60 who have not yet received the vaccine in the Western Province. According to the Director General of Public Health Services, Dr. Asela Gunawardena, the information will be obtained through divisional secretariats and Grama Seva officers. Adding further, Director General of Public Health Services said, after obtaining the information, senior citizens who have yet not been vaccinated will be either taken to vaccination centres or steps will be taken to visit their homes and administer the vaccine.
Johnson & Johnson vaccine
Various countries request for various vaccines. We do not know against what political backdrop that these vaccines are being requested. But in our country, we have taken steps to administer our migrant workers with the vaccines accepted by different countries. Students who are migrating for educational purposes will be given the vaccine those countries accept. People who are flying overseas for business purposes will also be given the vaccines accepted by countries they wish to travel to. We have stocks available to do that.
එවගේම විදේශ වැඩපිළිවෙලකට ව්‍යාපාරයකට යන්න අවශ්‍ය වුණොත් ඒ දේ අපි යම් ස්ටොක්ස් අපි තියාගෙන ඉන්නවා ඒ රටට අවශ්‍ය දේ ලබා ගන්න.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa said that although the current situation in the country requires all parties to hold discussions together and reach a decision on how to respond, the current government shows no interest in doing so. Issuing a statement, the opposition leader points out that this shows the adamant mentality of the government. The opposition leader stated that the government is toying with the lives of the innocent people of this country who will have to suffer the consequences of these actions. He stressed that there is a severe shortage of essential consumer goods such as gas and milk powder in the market, and also a shortage in Sri Lanka's fuel stocks. In his release, he warns that Sri Lanka will face a severe shortage of fuel in the country if the current reasons for the fuel shortage in the country are not addressed. The opposition leader recalled that as the new government came into power, they deprived the state of about 600 billion rupees in tax revenue by doling out massive tax cuts to the rich, and quoted the United Kingdom's global cost of living reports in pointing out that Sri Lankans have to spend 60% of their income on food. He pointed out that Sri Lanka has been pushed to the 5th place among the poorest countries in the world in terms of bearing the cost of food. The release issued by the opposition leader states that at a time when the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic in Sri Lanka has reached its peak, the government has been unsuccessful in controlling the spread of the pandemic. He points out that the government is pushing the general public of the country towards a great calamity. While pointing out that the country is heading towards a great catastrophe, the opposition leader states that the conduct of the newly appointed finance minister too is no different to what was done before. He went on to note that the danger in the country continues to aggravate.
No matter what we say, these rulers don't heed. That is the situation right now. Our country is already in a mess. We do not have the right people in the right places. There is no coordination. No proper politicians or officials are in the right places. Today we can clearly see that although the people gave them their mandate and they accepted the people's mandate, the people have to suffer like never before. Sometimes people who have too much power become egoistic and proud. Specialist doctors have become servants today. They are only specialist doctors for namesake. The people are frustrated. Our religious texts include a Devadatta Sutra. It is the judgment delivered by King Yama.
එක සිංහලෙන් කියනවා යම රජන් නඩු තීන්දුව. මේ සූත්‍රයේ කියලා තිබෙන්නේ මොකද්ද? ඔබේ මව කළත් නෙමෙයි, ඔබේ තාත්තා කළත් නෙමෙයි, ඔබේ සහෝදරයා කළත් නෙමෙයි, ඔබේ වෙන කෙනෙක් කළත් නෙමෙයි. උඹ කරගත්ත දෙය උඹම විඳපන්. මේකයි කියන්නේ. අද අපට වෙලා තියෙන ඒ ටික තමයි. වෙන මොකක්වත් නෙමෙයි.
According to the sutra, you must suffer the consequences of your actions. That is what has happened to us today. If we took the initiative, we could take this government forward, but there is no point in doing that. What did Mahinda Rajapaksa say? He got many titles before his name, but in a few more days, you too will be distanced from the hearts of the people. The people have high regards for you. If you continue to operate like this and not speak out, the people will not only distance themselves, the Rajapaksas will be forgotten and they will have no place in the future. We can clearly see this. Our next step is to connect with the people and move forward. We have been waiting long enough. We have to now think if we are going to wait and watch any longer or implement a people-friendly program in this country. What are the doctors saying right now? They are calling for the country to be placed under a lockdown. We too are asking for that. Give the people food and vaccines and we can fix this country. But they are not accepting any of these. They are listening to the cronies around them and working according to their advice. That is what is happening. State sector employees are frustrated. The Mahasangha is frustrated. Some ministers are also frustrated. Teachers have taken to the streets.
As the country is heading towards a fourth COVID-19 wave, the opinions of medical experts have been discarded after every wave. When Sri Lanka faces the threat of a fourth COVID-19 wave, only the President, Army Commander and the Head of Intelligence will be left. The President is operating the COVID-19 task force with the support of the Army Commander and the Head of Intelligence. This is a medical crisis. I would like to humbly tell the President, if you are not willing to consider our opinion or the medical experts' advice, at least consider the opinion of the Health Minister and the State Minister of COVID-19 Disease Control. The reports and expertise provided by Health Minister Pavitra Wanniarachchi and State Minister Sudarshini Fernandopulle are those obtained from medical experts. All health officials and medical officers in our country are demanding an immediate lockdown instead of being stubborn. You cannot curb this after being stubborn.
COVID-19 is a global pandemic. Let's now take a look at the situation across the globe.
India has crossed the milestone of administering more than 500 million doses of the vaccine against COVID-19 on what was the 203rd day of the nationwide inoculation drive against the virus, which began on the 16th of January. While it took 85 days for India to reach the first 100 million doses, the journey from 400 million to 500 million was covered in just 20 days. The Indian Health Ministry has also given a blueprint for how 1.08 billion people with 2.16 billion doses will get vaccinated before December this year. Experts fear Indonesia, considered one of the world's COVID-19 epicenters, is now a high-risk hotspot for the emergence of a new virus superstrain. And now experts are worried that a similar situation could occur in Indonesia, where the rampant spread of the virus may create the perfect breeding ground for another variant of concern. Indonesia reported 26,000
Principal indictments on the April 21st attacks in the Colombo High Court against 25 accused, including Naufar Maulavi, Sajid Maulavi, Mohammed Milhan, Sadiq Abdullah, Adam Lebe alias Ghafoor Mama, Mohammed Sansdeen and Mohammed Rizwan.
This indictment has been filed in relation to the 8 attacks on St. Anthony's Church Kochikade, St. Sebastian's Church Katuapitia, the Kingsbury Hotel, Shangri-La Colombo, Cinnamon Grand Colombo, Zion Church Batiklo and the Tropical Inn, Dehiwala. Upon filing the indictment, the Attorney General has requested the Chief Justice to constitute a trial ad bar to hear and determine 23,270 charges filed under the Prevention of Terrorism Act, including charges of conspiracy, preparation, aiding and abetting, collection of explosives and weapons, murder and attempted murder. In compiling the charges, the team of officers have taken into consideration each who either lost their life or suffered injuries.
The Sri Lankan cabinet has granted approval for Ratna Arakshaka Lanka to recommence its maritime security operations with Avant-Garde Maritime Services as a joint venture subject to conditions. Cabinet spokesperson Minister Kehelia Rambukwela said the cabinet decided to grant permission for the joint venture based on the recommendation from the Attorney General.
On the 8th of July 2021, a cabinet memorandum was tabled on handing over the Maritime Security Service operations to Avant-Garde and Ratna Arakshaka Lanka in order to revive the project as a joint venture. The cabinet memorandum was thereafter directed to the Attorney General for recommendations. The Attorney General had informed the cabinet that he observed that it was not illegal for the said two companies to work in agreement to jointly operate a floating armory to provide maritime security services for commercial vessels. The Attorney General had noted that on the 13th of November 2015, the operations of maintaining a floating armory as per the joint agreement were forcibly taken over and the commercial project was vested with the Sri Lanka Navy. The Attorney General had pointed out that as per the Navy Act No. 34 of 1950, the Sri Lanka Navy is not authorized to engage in any commercial activity and had added that the Sri Lanka Navy had agreed to hand over the operation to a suitable party. According to the Attorney General's observations, Sri Lanka Navy is a body within the Sri Lankan government and therefore the government must be held responsible for forcibly taking over the floating armory and the project, and it is not in accordance with any law and that it cannot be justified by any law as well. The Attorney General believes that Ratna Arakshaka Lanka will have to face legal action for breaching the agreement. The Attorney General had further pointed out that Ratna Arakshaka Lanka will have to pay compensation to the tune of $20 million to Avant-Garde for the breach of the agreement following the takeover of the operation. He had further noted that Avant-Garde had suffered a loss of 21 billion rupees as per the letter of demand sent to the Defence Secretary, and necessary measures need to be taken to prevent legal action over the claim. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers granted permission to recommence the operation, subject to conditions. Thereby, all overseas weapons must be stored, protected, issued, transferred to sea and land, and the regulation must take place under the direct supervision of the Sri Lanka Navy, and if required, Sri Lanka police protection can also be obtained. It must be noted that Sri Lanka Navy is completely responsible for national security when it comes to maritime security.
In another cabinet decision, yesterday, the Cabinet of Ministers approved a proposal put forward by the Minister of Sports to develop playgrounds and sports complexes, streamlining operations and maintenance at a provincial and district level.
Although a number of sports complexes are being constructed at divisional secretariat levels, district levels and provincial levels across the country, due to the inability to manage those facilities, sportsmen and sportswomen in those areas will not be able to reap the benefits of these facilities. We also hope to work together with private sector organizations to operate and maintain these sports complexes. The proposal made to the Cabinet in this regard has been approved. When companies are willing to provide a sponsorship like the Olympics are being sponsored, people are trying to create rumors about them being taken over. If we are able to identify the sports personalities who will be participating at the Olympics within the next 10 years, allow them to represent 10 leading companies in the country and for the companies to provide them with their necessities. I don't think that is a bad idea.
While the public have been affected by a shortage in gas and milk powder, they have also begun to lament on the rising price of sugar and rice. This is a report on the ground situation.
What is happening to the gas issue?
After the breakdown in the supply of LAF's gas to the market, only litro gas cylinders are available in the market. This has caused While the public have been affected by a shortage in gas and milk powder, they have also begun to lament on the rising price of sugar and rice. This is a report on the ground situation.
What is happening to the gas issue?
After the breakdown in the supply of LAF's gas to the market, only litro gas cylinders are available in the market. This has caused a rise in demand for litro gas. A number of long queues of people waiting to purchase gas were seen in the Kurunegala town today.
මේ දෙවෙනි පාරත් ආවා. ඒ ඇවිල්ලා දැන් ගෑස් නැහැ කියනවා. ඉතින් ඕක තමයි තත්ත්වය. ඇයි මෙහෙම කරන්නේ?
හයර් එකට ඇවිල්ලා ඒත් ගෑස් කන්න නැහැ. ගෑස් නැහැ. හයර් එක එපා. ඒ වුණත් කමන්නේ ගෑස් එකක් දෙන්න කියලා ඉල්ලන්නේ.
පොඩිව දෙනවා. පොඩි ටෝපෝ විතරක් තියෙනවා. අනිත් ලොකු ගෑස් ඉවරයි. ආයේ ඕටරේ දාලා ආපු වෙලාවට තමයි දෙන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
දු ජනතාවගේ සාමාන්‍ය ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වය සම්පූර්ණයෙන් අඩාල වෙන දෙයක්. ඒතකොට ගෑස් සැපයීම රජයේ වගකීමක් විදිහට අපි දකින්නේ.
Many sales agents and consumers were affected by the shortage of gas in Panadura and Vadua today. Stocks of gas available for purchase in Mathura and surrounding areas this morning was also insufficient. Many people faced difficulties due to this situation. People living in and around Gaul were not able to purchase gas both yesterday and today. This was the situation in Kandy and surrounding areas.
ගෑස් ගණ්ඩාපුවම සමහරු ඇයි මොකද ගෑස් එන්නේ නැත්තේ අරේ මේ ඔයාලා දන්නේ නැද්ද ඔයාලා කෝල් කරන්නේ නැද්ද එහෙට අරේ මේ කියලා අහනවා. ඉතින් අපි කියනවා ඉතින් අපි එහෙම කතා කරාට බඩු නැත්තම් අපි මොකද කරන්නේ කියලා.
What is this LAF's gas issue? During the past 2 years, they have recorded massive losses. If we look into those losses, we can see many financial losses. They have taken loans and have to pay interest for those loans. I believe the loss was about 1.4 billion one year and 1.2 billion the other year. Then the question that we have is, why did this happen? They attempted to construct a gas terminal. If this loan amount was invested in the construction of this gas terminal, there is an issue there, because it must be a new investment. To invest, we have to have some savings to invest. If they attempt to do all of this through loans, then that is the issue that is reflected in their balance sheets. So there is a massive issue here. What is the solution to the gas issue? This has now become a legal matter. First, cordial discussions will be held with the two companies on how this issue can be solved without affecting the consumers. What are the steps from a legal point we as a government must take to solve this issue? And combining all of these, in the end, we have decided to prioritize the customers in providing a solution to this issue. Why is there a shortage of milk powder?
පිට බඩගින්න ඉන්න පුළුවන්. පොඩි ළමයෙකුට ඉන්න බැහැනේ. කෑ ගහලා පිටේ කිල්ලනකොට දෙන්න විදිහක් නැහැ.
කිරිපිටි જાති මොකොත් නැහැ. වෙනගෙනවා හරියට ඉල්ලනවා පොඩි ළමයි ඉන්න තැනින් ඉල්ලනවා දෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ආවෙත් නැහැ.
ලෙඩුන්ට අවශ්‍යයි කිරිපිටි. ඒක කිරිපිටියක් කොන්නේ නැහැ මේ.
100 එකක් ඉල්ලනකොට ඉතින් අපිට දෙන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. දෙන්න අපි කහට කියන මිනිස්සු බැන යනවා.
Although the government has not granted approval to the request forwarded by milk powder companies to increase their prices, yesterday the cabinet agreed on an alternate solution.
The cabinet made a clear decision to completely remove the tax imposed on milk powder. We took the pragmatic decision to give the benefit to the public while the government suffers the loss. There's a tax of about 175 rupees. We decided to completely remove that tax.
What is this sugar and rice crisis?
The government has suspended the permits to import sugar on the 28th of May. This was done as Sri Lanka already has 60 million metric tons of sugar in storage, which is sufficient for the next 8-month period. It can be seen that the stocks of sugar that were imported into the country with a tax of only 25 cents per kilogram are not being released to the market properly. A kilo of sugar is selling at a price of 150 rupees in the market. A kilo of sugar that was sold at 140 rupees in Kandy and surrounding areas yesterday was sold for a price of 150 rupees in the market today.
Though various steps were taken from time to time, the price of rice has not been reduced as yet.
හාල් දැන් 150යි 160යි ඒකල හිතුණු ගණන් වලට දෙන එක ගාණක් නෑ සීනි 150යි 140යි ඒක නම් හිතුණු ගණන් වලට තමයි දෙන්නේ.
ඔව් දැන් බලන්න ගියාම දැන් සීනිත් නෑ කඩවල වල හාලුත් නෑ. ඉතින් බාලම හාල්ලේ ගන්න ගියත් යනවා රුපියල් 120ක් විතර
පරිප්පු සීනි හිඟයක් තියෙන විදිහක් නැහැ.
There is no way for a dal and sugar shortage in the country. We will discuss the matter with the Minister of Trade as well. The allegation was that there were sugar stocks that would last 4 to 5 months. If someone is concealing stock, we will act to bring it out and take legal action as well.
ඊමට සහ ඒ වෙනුවෙන් නීතිමය රාමුව තුල ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමට අපි පසුබට වෙන්නේ.
Cabinet spokesperson Minister Kehelia Rambukwala says that the government will agree to resolve the salary anomaly issues of teachers and principals on a policy basis. Adding further, the minister said that a committee comprising of 4 ministers have already been appointed to make recommendations to seek an interim solution to the matter.
රජයේ ස්ථාවරයක ඉන්නවා මේ විසඳිය යුතුයි කියලා.
The stance of the government is to solve this issue. The government will not take a step backwards in this issue. As a result of that stance, we took a very distinctive decision at the cabinet meeting yesterday. We have appointed a committee comprising 4 ministers. If the recommendations of those 4 are not on par with the ideologies of the Cadre Committee or the Subodhini Committee, they will find the middle ground and take an interim decision. The report presented by those 4 ministers will be handed over to the Minister of Finance, because at the end of the day, we will need about 60 to 70 billion rupees to solve this issue. How much salaries can we pay within a year? On a policy basis, we agree that we have to solve this issue.
විසඳ ගන්න පුළුවන්. ප්‍රතිපත්ති මාසයෙන් එක අපි පිළිගන්නවා මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳිය යුතුයි කියලා.
Cabinet අනුකමිටු මේ ඕන තරම් දාලා තියෙනවා.
Many cabinet subcommittees have been appointed in the recent past. We will not try to conclude whether this subcommittee will fall into that category as well. We have launched a struggle at present. We will not stop that. If that committee is appointed with pure intentions, provide solutions for our issue. If not, we will not stop our struggle. If this matter is solved, we will start working from the following day. But if it is not solved, the struggle will continue.
පවුගෙන් අපි වැඩ. හැබැයි විසඳුවේ නැත්නම් හරගලේ දිගටම.
Please do not avoid this issue any longer. If this is delayed cabinet meeting after cabinet meeting, we have answers for that too. We are ready to renew and broaden the action we will resort to. You will see different action taken by us if this is delayed any further.
If they are going to give this money somehow, they will have to have money for this in their treasury. The previous government did not leave us with the bankrupt central bank, but with a robbed central bank. What we ask the government is to provide a solution for this crisis and serve justice to the teachers. Simple as that. We believe that this government will do that.
We ask the teachers not to abstain from their duties, as online education is of utmost importance to our children. 622,000 students sat for the GCE ordinary level exam. The only reason we cannot release the results of that exam is because the teachers are not willing to attend the practical exams. All steps have been taken to hold the practical exams. If the teachers are abstaining from their duties there as well, 622,000 students in the country will not be able to know their results in the exam they sat for.
අපේ ගුරු බෞතුන් එතකොට 6,20,000ක් දරුවන්ට ඒ විභාග ප්‍රතිඵල ලබා ගැනීමට බැරි තත්ත්වයක් උදානවා. කරුණා කරලා ඒක කරන්න එපා කියලා මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
Former Minister Rishad Padiuddin, who was detained by the Criminal Investigations Department under the provisions of the Prevention of Terrorism Act, was remanded until the 18th of August by Colombo Magistrate Priyantha Liyanage today.
The magistrate made the order, noting that the court has the power to remand the suspect until the conclusion of the trial, as the charges were filed by the prosecution as per the provisions of the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Detectives produced former Minister Badiuddin to the court today on the charges of giving priority to a firm owned by Ibrahim Ahmed, one of the suicide bombers responsible for the 2019 April 21st terror attacks, by providing scrap metal and copper owned by the Ministry of Industries and using the funds generated through that scheme to fund terrorism.
Up next is Crime Watch.
The Telepali police in Jaffna arrested a member of the criminal gang for engaging in multiple crimes that involved sword attacks. Upon preliminary investigations, it was revealed that the suspect, aged 23, was involved in an incident in Koppai and another incident in Alaweti, Jaffna. 2 swords and 2 motorcycles without number plates were impounded by the Jaffna police. The Malacca Magistrate Court ordered for the suspect to be remanded until the 23rd of this month, after he was produced in court today. The police have launched investigations to apprehend the remaining members of the gang.
Interpreter for tonight, Brian De Cruz. Take care, stay at home, stay safe. God bless.